this little light of mine shine for me. Nigga, I'm a soldier, pen full of pain and cry for me. And if we gotta hit the block, then Brody, I ride for free. I know they gon' die for me. My life used to be ugly. Nowadays it's sunny weather. Somewhere you need short sleeves. I'm growing more and more important the more I can't afford things. And boy, this life is costing me a fortune. But you know,
Oh my goodness, it was, bro.
money don't make no money if I
Wait, hold on, wait. When did you So when did you get it exactly? Like with timeline wise, not age.
March of last year.
March of last year. Okay. Last year. I mean, I had to go through everything. Puppy too, bruh. Did you ever have those moments where you was like, bruh, you know what? I don't care what we do with this dog. It could leave. I wouldn't even care.
The very next night, the night we got him, because he did not want to sleep in his crate, and so he was just crying the whole freaking night. I ended up sleeping on the floor next to him.
Oh my goodness. AJ, you ever had
I
a
was
dog,
second
bro?
guessing everything.
Nah, never had a dog. I mean, I'm African, so we don't really do dogs, cats, turtles. I think we did try to get a dog, but like one day, and my mom was like, "Hell no, like this is not gonna work." And I just learned my parents tried to get a dog maybe about a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Was supposed to be getting it from like my brother's coworker. So they went to meet the dog, you know, get introduced and kind of acclimated. And this dog was so aggressive, like they were like, "Hell no, we're not taking this dog home." So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, but like in the African culture, they don't really do dogs, man. Like, if they are dogs, they're like stray dogs in your community, just running around, and that's pretty much your pet. But it's never going in your house, like.
Yeah. So first of all, what it do, Alex, man? Are you down in Richmond, bro? Let me know something. I know you said you're going down there this week. So AJ, my girl is Jamaican, and in Jamaica they didn't allow any pets in the house. Like they called them their pets, but they stay outside 24/7. They didn't have dog food for them. Like none of that stuff. They just stayed outside. So like that shit is kind of crazy, bro. I never thought of it like that in the sense like how the hell. I mean, people do it here too, but goddamn, like I don't. Yeah. I've always had my pet in the house, so I don't even know how that works.
Yeah.
Oh man! So as we go ahead and get started, and you ain't got to put that drink away, man. Drink as much as you want on this show, Nick. We're gonna go ahead and get started to the Trap or Dive, man. And welcome back to another episode. We got the good man Nick Akridge joining us. And for those who don't know Nick, he is a full-time analyst for Pro Football Focus, which I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure it's the leading data and analytics service provider to all 32 NFL teams. So if you need anything or you want anything to know about your favorite players and how they rank outside of just the basic statistics and the numbers from a and want the numbers from an advanced perspective, you know, Nick is the guy who you talk to. He breaks down the film. He provides the advanced analytics that Pro Football Focus provides. So with that being said, Nick, welcome to the show. How are you feeling today, boss?
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I mean, I've been watching you guys' podcast on Twitch for a while now. Love what you guys are doing, so I definitely want to get on here. Yeah, I'm basically the guy that when PFF gives Washington a bad grade, I'm the guy that gets yelled at. Everyone just starts yelling at me.
Well, we know a guy. You know, we ain't gonna talk about him, but we know a guy. Shout out to you, man. You know, a co-host of mine from the other podcast. But you know, a lot of people have their doubts about Pro Football Focus, man. And before I ask you some questions, what's going on, Dre? What's going on, AJ? How y'all feeling today, boss?
I'm doing good, man.
Good, man.
Hey, so are y'all fans of PFF? Or how do y'all view PFF before we talk to Nick about this?
You can be brutally honest. I don't care.
Let him know. He's taking his lumps.
No, actually, I actually like PFF. I know when it first came out, I was kind of against it because, in a sense, I felt threatened. In the sense, I was like, okay, this is starting to challenge my eye test. You know, because you'll see some things you think is good, then PFF will show you things that are bad. But over the years, I've grown to really appreciate it because they really do break down different aspects of it. Like, I mean, just the different schemes, the assignments that a specific player may have that the casual fan on TV watching wouldn't, know. So I have gained a real good appreciation for it, especially I think my favorite position group to go off of PFF is the offensive line. Because honestly, as a fan, I don't know much about what I'm watching on the offensive line. So PFF kind of helps you there because they're like, okay, this guy's doing this guy has this block and assignment. So I really look to it for that, especially.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I always look at it with is more so like it should be an aid. Like whatever my eyes say. Now obviously if my eyes are dead wrong, obviously I'll learn that in a heartbeat. But what I'm seeing and just understanding that there may be different perspective out there. That's what Pro Football Focus is for. And like in my perspective, I don't lean onto it as a Bible. But what I do find funny, fellas, is when you knee deep in the argument and you start Googling shit because you're trying to be right. And then Pro Football Focus has that one thing that says that this player is this good. And you like, well, Pro Football Focus say it. So clearly I'm on the right side. So Nick, man, first off, tell us how you got into Pro Football Focus. But secondly, when you get to that, like, what is one of the misconceptions or the misunderstandings that Pro Football Focus that you commonly run into? Obviously, we know each other for a while. You went through a few things with that stuff.
Yeah. So I started with PFF. I was the same way. Like I was really skeptical of it when I first saw it. I was like, they don't know what they're doing. This is bullshit. I mean, but they put out a tweet and they said, come work with us. This was like in spring of 2017. They said, come work with us. And I was like, all right, I'm spending the weekends in my dorm room at college watching football. Might as well get paid to do it. So I did the tryout for it, got the job, and just basically did a shit ton of work from there. And then the more work you do, the more you get paid. And then from there on, you get hired full-time. I got hired full-time 2 years ago, and then it's just the same old, just collecting data, collecting grades, all that sort of stuff nonstop.
So when I guess the question would be like, if I was like, when we're talking about a particular player and a lot of people, for example, they expect like some random offensive lineman on your team that's starting that's playing poorly in somebody's perspective, like from the just watching the games and stuff. They're not looking at the film, but they're watching the games and they're saying, "Oh, this person's playing terrible." But Pro Football Focus gives a different grade that tells you, actually, he's actually been playing better than you expect. What type of work are you putting into that research that gives you that grade? Like, how often do you guys look at film? How often do you guys talk to people? How are you getting the information to produce that grade?
Yeah, the O-line is the trickiest part. It always will be, and some O-line guys hate us for it, but the O-line's always going to be tricky. When we're doing our first run analysis, we're doing it off the broadcast, but then we get to all 22 and we review it all. We have people that have been trained in this process for years and years and years, longer than I even thought this company existed. And they've been doing it for so long. We've added in former NFL coaches, former NFL players, former college coaches, all those sort of guys to help us when we're sort of stuck on something. And if we're ever stuck, if we're like truly stuck on something, we don't know whether to give them a positive or negative, we just leave it at 0. Just move on. It's not going to change the grade that much. But for the most part, we're like 95% confident about what grade we're giving them based on just the research of what we've done in the past, what we've seen them do in the past, their tendencies, all that sort of stuff.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So before we move over to the actual the current team, man, is there anything like? Because I don't know how this works. I've been in the government my whole damn life, my working career. But is there like room for like moving forward or moving up? Because I don't know like what your actual title is called, but like is that room like where you can continue to grow from where you're at? Like is that something that you look at now that you're involved with PFF?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so you start out entry level data analyst, and you're just the guy who's getting all the work. You're spending 80-hour work weeks during the football season, all that sort of stuff. And you keep grinding up. You just do more and more work. You ended up getting in leadership roles, and you just keep getting up and farther in leadership roles, and you just kind of go from there. I mean, obviously, everybody's goal in PFF is to eventually get to an NFL franchise.
Yeah.
We've had about 6 or 7 full-time guys get pulled to NFL franchises, so that's eventually the goal. Obviously, the dream's Washington, but you never know. If any team calls, I'm moving instantly.
I'm about to say that you building up that resume, man. Like it's once in a lifetime opportunity to take that NFL job. So if things work out, man, keep doing the good work. And keep producing the content for the Washington football fan. Do you run the PFF Redskins account? Do you run that?
No, I used to run it, and then I just had too much other work to do.
Okay, well, obviously, and before we get into it, like, best of luck to you, especially with that, the career path in PFF, man. That's definitely, like I said, I've been following you for some time now, so you put the rumors and misconceptions to rest a lot, and you set people straight, like, not in a base way, but just more so just helping people understand things a little bit more clear, even if they don't want to listen. You out there.
All right. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Much better to hear that than listen to people on Twitter complain to me.
Hey, look, that's what a podcast is for, man. We ain't all here to attack you, my brother. All right, let's go ahead and get to the quote of the week, y'all. So initially I did have one AJ and Dre that I showed y'all from Michael Phillips, but obviously since then the things has changed and Allen got an extension, and I'll just read this verbatim. This is from Ron Rivera following the extension of Logan Thomas and Jonathan Allen. And it goes as follows. I'm just glad it's out the way. These are guys that we believe fits us going into the future. They give us some stability. I think it shows other players that we most certainly are working hard to try and keep our own. That's how you build a team, if you're able to sign those guys. Keep those guys around. We were able to find Logan last year, and he developed into a type of player we believe he has the ability to be, and we are just very fortunate we can keep him around, As, Jonathan was a first-round draft pick, a guy that has tremendous impact on our football team, not just as a player, but as a leader. So it was good to get him done. So before I go to you all, AJ and Dre, I'm going to ask you, Nick, how valuable, if Pro Football Focus grading was to tell the story, how valuable is Jonathan Allen to the Washington football team? And if you are prepared for Logan, I will ask the same thing for Logan, but I know we talked about Allen beforehand.
Yeah, for Allen, we've always, or me specifically, has always thought he's been the best defensive lineman just because from an all-around perspective, you got pass rushing and run defense. The big thing that PFF is kind of pushing from him is the sacks. Last year, it was just 2 sacks, and everyone's freaking out, 2 sacks and whatnot. But he had a pass rush win rate of 17%, which was the 8th best in the entire NFL. So he's getting to the quarterback. He's affecting the passer. He's forcing interceptions. He's forcing incompletions, and he's just always been valuable in that way. So again, it's not all about the sacks for him. It's about the sort of pressure he causes the quarterback.
What about Dre and AJ? Now, AJ, I know you got a little comment about you got a little comment about the boy Jonathan Allen. If you want to take the lead on this one, be my guest, man, because we know how you feel.
I definitely think that the deal happened last minute, like we all kind of like heard about. Because I even seen like Blake, his agent, post like, hey, we kind of did not Redskins, but Washington football team a favor, which means like the discussions that we had prior, they were aiming for even more money. They were aiming for at least probably 20 to 21 million from Washington. But, at the end of the day, his client, has a be all say all. He probably told him, let's get it done. Let me secure this bag going into the season, avoid any injury, whatever. I want to stay here. I want to be in my hometown, what have you. So congrats to the Jonathan for getting the deal done. I think it was a bargain for Washington to get it done at, what the average is per year, and also allows them to have an out in a couple years as well in the deal. At the end of the day, I probably would just ask Nick, how do you guys, when you say, PFF is hard on Allen in regards to like getting sacks, but how do you rate a 3 technique D tackle versus a 4 technique? Because a 3 technique should get more sacks than 2 in a whole season if you didn't miss any games.
Right.
So you still end up rank 8th on your grading rankings?
So the pass rush win rate, it's a percentage of how many or how often he gets pressure on a quarterback when they're passing. And so we're counting pressure as beating his block, getting to the quarterback. The sacks, a lot of times sacks are fluky. So in 2018 and 2019, he had 14 sacks combined through those 2 years, pass rush win rate of just 10%. So a lot of times you can get sacks, but you're not the guy who's causing the pressure, if that makes sense. So a lot of times it was a perfect example with Montez Sweat this past year.
I was just about to
Jonathan
say that.
Allen. Jonathan Allen's collapsing the pocket. Deron Payne's collapsing the pocket. Someone's collapsing the pocket. Quarterback's forced to roll out. Montez Sweat's just easily disengaging from his block. He gets the cleanup sack. Now, for us, we're giving up the higher grade to the guy that's forcing the quarterback out of the pocket. We're not giving the higher grade to the guy that makes the tackle for the sack. Now, there's obviously examples when it's just a clean block or it's a clean win against the O-lineman, sheds him instantly and gets the sack right away. Those are obviously going to be our highest grades, but we're treating each win against the offensive lineman the same, regardless of what it does to the quarterback, because his job is to beat the offensive lineman in a pass play. You just need to beat the offensive lineman and get in the pocket. That's what we're grading.
Okay. All right, that's good to know.
Dre, where you at with it, boss?
Well, let me ask you, did it change your opinion a bit, AJ?
No, it doesn't change my opinion. I mean, I've been knowing about PFF from like the beginning of time with everything, but I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like there's always going to be tools that other people need to justify their points and things of that nature. A lot of those people that rely on the analytics don't really know the game or play the game, so that helps them out in understanding it. That's why a lot of these guys, like Nick even mentioned, 6 of his former colleagues have now moved on to NFL franchises because that data, the analytics, the breakdown of the numbers helps the ownerships, their groups. Like, that's where they come from. They know those numbers like the back of their hand. So, but for me, I just use my naked eye. I mean, to each his own. You feel me? It's all a tool, depending on how you use it. But I feel like a lot of people on Twitter and social media like weaponize it, like it is Bible, you know?
I 100% agree with that. And like we have in like our statement, when we're talking about the grades, we say it millions of times. This isn't the Bible. It's how we're grading these players. You can't go up to him and say like, "Yeah, no, you're an 80." I don't care what you think, you're an 80. Like, obviously, we're not going to do that. It's just a tool. It's a tool that people can use for people that don't have the time to just kind of like break film down and watch all 22 throughout the week. It's a tool for them to use it, sort of see where these guys are stack up compared to the rest of the league. And the grades are just based off of what we're watching on film. We have our analytics guys, our data guys that are taking those grades, taking the stats we give them, and then coming up with projections and all. I don't even understand any of that stuff. I'm just watching the football and I'm grading them. These guys are taking the numbers, and it's kind of incredible what they're doing. And that's what we basically sell to the NFL teams is, look at what we're doing with these numbers. This is how it can help you, all that sort of stuff. But the grades come solely off of watching film.
Before you go, Dre, AJ, do teams use that in like negotiations? PFF, do they use like data and stuff like that, or analytics in negotiations with players and stuff?
Very few teams. I know agent-wise, a lot of guys don't use it. But unfortunately, the players, like your client, they'll be paying attention to it and, hey, why am I this number? But that's just them being sensitive, you know. They're on social media. So anytime PFF puts out a grade, whether it be weekly or for the year, you know, guys are like, the hell you talking about? I'm ranked 73. I got a 73 grade, but I'm in the Pro Bowl, or I put up these numbers. How you know what coverage I was playing? How you know my route assignment? Blah, blah, blah. So it's just one of those things where some teams use it, but in your negotiation as an agent, you're not typically using that because at the end of the day, they know if they want to sign the player or not. So that grade is not really going to do much. They have all the tape in the world of everything your client has done from back in high school, damn near. So, you know, it's not one of the negotiation tools that you would typically utilize.
All right, so Dre, where you at with this one? I heard you yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Yeah, when it happened, you had a little thread for people to follow when he did get extended. Break down how good Allen was.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, you know how I feel about Jonathan Allen. I think he's a great player for the franchise. I mean, not like I said, like I've been saying, leadership plus his ability is the reason why he got his extension. You know, and that's important. I mean, Jonathan Allen's not Kedrick Golston. You know, I mean, he's not just a good guy in the locker room and that's where it ends. I mean, he's a great player on the football field as well. I mean, you look on the defensive line and he gets a lot more double teams than the rest of the guys that come in and on the interior. And that's because he does have elite pass rushing moves. Like, I mean, he may not get the sacks, but like Nick said, he's collapsing the pocket. I mean, he's causing havoc. And it's almost unfair that you have the ends that you have in Chase and Montez, because that's only going to make things even scarier for opposing offenses with Jonathan Allen doing what he does in the middle. So I think the staff realized that he's a guy you can't let go because, like I said, not only is he important on the football field, he's also important when it comes to the leadership role in that defense that they're trying to establish as well. Now, I did come off topic a little bit here while we got Nick here, because I remember a grade that they gave out in the playoffs. Heineke got, I think he got a 92 PFF grade. And I believe that was the highest you all graded for any Washington quarterback. I wanted to ask Nick, what did you all see? What did you see on tape that kind of stood out about Taylor Heineke that just, because obviously that 92 score is just rare amongst the Washington quarterbacks?
That's a really good question.
He didn't miss a throw. Like, it was as simple as that. If you go back and watch everything, he didn't miss a single throw. If it was an incompletion, I know he had one incompletion where it was I think they were down in the red zone. It was an out route to Terry or something like that. The ball hits him perfectly, like right on the fingertips, but it has to be placed there because the defenders just draped all over Terry. So we're still giving that a positive grade because that's hitting him in the hands. We're not downgrading Terry because it's great defense, but he's not missing throws. Like, he was hitting throws. He was hitting them on time. He was accurate with it. And that's why he got such a high grade. I think we gave him one negative grade in the entire day, which is kind of unheard of for quarterbacks.
100% agree. I'm trying to sit here and think, like, in any sense of analysis, like dating back forever, never mind a Pro Football Focus grade or ESPN QBR, I don't remember somebody ever saying after reviewing the film that somebody never missed a throw. Like, how good of a game did you have to have in Heineke in your one game, the biggest game of your career, your pro career, and you fucking ball out like that? That shit was that's kind of crazy, man. All right. Well, before we go ahead, Nick, is this are you all in on Heineke or Fitzpatrick? Like, which one is that for you then? You didn't see Heineke up close, so
my heart wants to say Heineke so badly. Because the type of story that would be for him to come out and just ball out and be a starter for this year, that'd be incredible. But I don't know. I think it's Fitz. He's done it his whole career. Just, I don't know. You're either going to get great Fitz or you're going to get terrible Fitz, and it's going to be a hell of a season just to watch that. But you know what you're sort of getting with Fitz. Heineke, I mean, if he comes out and takes a starting job, then shit, I'm all in on Heineke. Yeah. But I think it'll be Fitz.
All right. So fellas, and I did have a comment or opinion of my own, but my boy Montel, what it do, bruh? He put a comment in here, and I'm gonna just leave the floor open for you all to take a response on it. So he said he loves Allen's leadership, love Allen's deal overall, so he's not complaining. But he falls in that tier 3 of DTs with like Stephon Tuitt, Hayward, and Pierce type of guys. I look at AD, Chris Jones, Cox as standalone game records. Leonard Williams, Buckner, Kenny Clark are gamers as well. He respects Allen's play, but his play does seem, quote unquote, seem replaceable. And I leave that comment there, and I want to get you all's thoughts because we did have those conversations, AJ and Dre, about looking down the line and the people that you have to pay, the positions that you have to pay, and things like that. So it's nothing wrong with signing Jonathan Allen, but eventually the question will come about, damn, did we do this a little bit too early type thing, committing too early to somebody? So with that being said, with what Montel said, where are you all that on his comments and the replaceable comment in particular?
I think Jonathan Allen, he definitely could have been replaceable with the depth that they have at the position with Ioannidis and Payne, and even a younger guy who hasn't got, as many reps as the other two, and Tim Settle. But at the end of the day, I don't think he's tier 3. I think he's a tier 2. I think Payne is up there in tier 2 and Ioannidis. At the end of the day, if I'm not mistaken, I think he pretty much like average per year salary is like $16 million,
Yeah.
and he's still ranked like 8th or 9th at his position. If you're gonna get a guy that wants to sign that type of deal, knowing that they could get paid more, you gotta hurry up and put that contract together and get it signed. You know, like I don't see a problem with that. I just think what I've seen since his signing, was that today? Or
yesterday?
Allen was yesterday, yeah.
But his signing since yesterday is like people now think that you have to trade Payne, and you really don't. Salary cap is going to go up. You just got to figure it all out. I mean, you know, it's just one of those things that you got to let play out. But I definitely thought he was replaceable. I thought he could have been used as an asset to go get a quarterback. You know, right now we kind of know that Deshaun Watson is going to be on the move. I thought that could have been a key piece to, you know, throw in Houston's face to, you know, dangle along with some picks to go ahead and get Watson over. But I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. I think we'll probably talk about that a little bit later on in the show. But I definitely think Payne and Allen are tier 2 D tackles. I mean, you probably, like I said, you probably want your 3 technique to produce more sacks. But I mean, you do have Sweat and Young coming off the edge, and you know, a hell of a rotation already at D tackle as well. And I guess we'll see how that goes this year with Ioannidis back healthy for the ability to play more than 2 games.
Great, Nick. Where y'all at with that one?
I think you kind of hit it spot on.
I'd
say he's tier 2. Like I think he's right below Aaron Donald, the Chris Jones. I think he's right under them. He's obviously not in that group, but like AJ said, the contract's great for Washington. I mean, it puts you in a pretty good spot. I mean, like you said, the cap's going up next year. They still have plenty of cap space. Obviously, that'll all change if you go try to get a quarterback. You're gonna have to pay a lot of money for that. But you know, I don't think he's replaceable by any means. But you could replace him. Might not get the same sort of production, but with this sort of this interior defensive line technique these guys are playing, sort of, it's hard to replace him. But you could do it, but not get as much production. I'm trying to say that better.
I get it, because AJ asked a question last week. If it wasn't last week or 2 weeks ago, you asked us like how far of a drop off was it with Allen and Settle, and I think it was those two, right? Allen and Settle. And in my head, I'm like, I got the point where you was trying to go. But goddamn it, if we talking about Allen and Settle, that shit, Settle ain't there yet.
I mean,
AJ's Virginia Tech bias is coming up.
I just feel like you can manipulate the scheme to make it work with Ioannidis and Settle together at a cheaper cost. That's how I was viewing it. Because I'm like, if you had those 2 guys along with Payne, you could definitely manipulate the scheme to get what you was getting out of Allen for a cheaper cost, in my opinion.
Okay. Fair enough. Like for me, man, I did feel like he was replaceable, but I felt like it was going to be hard. Like, it wasn't easy when it came to Jonathan Allen. I think the 2 people that we're talking about the most that's honestly going to be difficult to replace, and as much as I like Ioannidis, I thought it was going to be Allen and Payne, and I think of Payne for his potential. AJ, another thing that I did disagree with was you said that Payne was in that tier 2. I don't think he's there yet. But I'm a huge fan of him. And the reason why I don't think he's there yet is that we understand what we see in Payne, right? We recognize the flashes that he's shown throughout the last 2 or 3 years that he's been here. But the issue is it hasn't come full force. Like he still had his struggles or inconsistencies in pass rushing. He gets to the quarterback clearly more than Allen, obviously statistically. But at the same time, he still had his issues as a pass rusher. And I don't think until you can put it fully together that you can say that he's even in those upper tiers. And that's me speaking objectively about a player that I like more than almost any of the other interior defensive linemen. I'm just not there yet with Payne. But when it comes to Allen in particular, it's going to be hard, man. It's going to be hard to replace him. And I think one of the issues is if we moved on or if we committed, one of the questions that I had is if we committed to that man in the event that we did, and it happened to be $16 million, so it kind of negates it. How much money were we going to spend on the rest of the defensive linemen if we had an opportunity to snag a Deshaun Watson or Aaron Rodgers or if we found a draft or drafted a quarterback after an unforeseen weird season that allowed us to pick a top tier quarterback. If we wanted to commit to a receiver to help out Terry McLaurin or something like that, or just a star player in general to help bolster this offense or defense out, like that's kind of where I would have got tied into, like saying if Jonathan Allen got here, then we had to worry about 3 or 4 other players in that same position group. I wasn't really ready to commit to Jonathan Allen because of that reason. But $16 million, I'm not one to complain. But that's kind of where I was at with it. Like I wasn't really sold on signing Allen right now, given the other situations at hand.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I disagree with the whole him being kind of replaceable. I'm sure this is one of the few situations where you can look at the interior defensive line and say the drop off in play wouldn't be too significant if you let go of Jonathan Allen. But the thing is, there would be a slight drop off in a sense, but as well, this is something we keep going back to is the leadership. I go back to the conversation we had with Clinton Portis that time, and he talked about that year. It was 06 when he was saying all the leaders left, like the voices in the locker room were gone and things had changed, and you bring in like Adam Archuleta and guys like that, and thinking you could replace the guys that were doing it for you, and they don't. So I look at Jonathan Allen in a situation like that, and like Jamal, you brought up a great point in Daron Payne, and that I agree that he's not there yet. Now, potential, Daron Payne probably has the most potential of anybody in that interior defensive line, but the thing we haven't seen from Daron Payne is a consistent stretch. Like, we need to start seeing consistency from him. We've seen flashes, but now it's to the point where he needs to start showing the consistency, and which is fine because I believe this was the first year we started to see Jonathan Allen start to really put it together. He showed flashes before, but this was clearly his best year. And Payne is going into the same year of experience that Allen was last year. So maybe this year you'll see Payne start to put those consistent stretches together, and maybe he will become the best player on the interior defensive line. But right now, he's not there. And truthfully, we don't know if he's going to get there. I mean, potentially he can, but right now we don't know. But we know what we got in Jonathan Allen right now. We know he brings leadership, and we know he's bringing it on the field right now. So you don't want to lose a guy like that right now because it's just too much unknown in that aspect.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and cap off this subject with a quick little game. Extend, trade, or walk. You got Tim Settle, Daron Payne, and Matt Ioannidis. Who are you extending? Who are you trading? And who are you letting walk? And before I hand the floor over to whoever wants to take a stab at it first, I will say that I asked this question on Twitter, and there was a lot of mix, but there was a consensus. And actually, you know what? I'm not even going to say that. That's not fair. There was a lot of people who said either extend or trade Settle. Extend or trade Payne. And then there was some people who said extend Settle, which was the ones that kind of stood out to me. So I'll give the floor to you all and see what y'all opinion is, and go from there.
Yeah, I don't think there's a right answer to this. You kind of have an embarrassment of riches here, but I went back and forth on this like throughout the entire day. I think I'm extending Payne, trading Settle, and letting Ioannidis walk. I think Payne is the best of that group. Like you guys were saying, the potential is through the roof. I mean, if you just turn on the tape against the Bucs, that was his best pass rushing game he's ever put forward. I mean, he was just consistently getting after the quarterback. It helped that they were throwing a lot, but he was still getting in the backfield, all that sort of stuff. If he can sort of put that all together, yes. I mean, you're looking at the next great D tackle. I mean, yes. It's insane sort of potential because he's already one of the best run stuffing interior defensive linemen in the NFL. I mean, he's there already. But if you get that pass rushing side to him, I mean, his potential's through the roof. So if he puts that together, I think you have to extend him. Ioannidis, you've already extended him once. There's injury questions there. I think it's just probably safer to just let him walk. And if you can get Settle would be a starting defensive tackle on almost any other team in the league. So if you can use him in a trade piece, I think that'd be perfect.
Okay. I'll go right quick and knock mine out the way. Because it's literally the exact same thing. Ioannidis, I think for the reason I let him walk, it's more so just it is injury, but also too, if you think about it, I think he's the oldest out of the bunch too. So I'm not necessarily that high. I mean, I wouldn't say that high, but I don't think, even with the fact that he is one of the team's best pass rushers, interior pass rushers, you've shown that the edge rushing ability, along with Jonathan Allen's emergence, especially how Nick explained it earlier, but also like the things we were seeing throughout the season, his pass rushing ability kind of helps the sense of relief or comfortability of letting an Ioannidis walk. And then obviously, as you said, you keep around Payne, and trade and settle. I don't know how much you'll get for him now because he's behind these guys, but the fact that you can trade a younger settle and have teams bid for him, you can probably get like a mid-round pick for the guy. So that kind of works out well for the team in any which way. Doesn't have to be a first or a second. Obviously, even you're not going to get that for him anyway. But still, like, you get a mid-round guy for settle, and you worry about the rest later. If you shooting for the gusto, you would trade Payne and try and get like high compensation. But if you think about it, the defense is already in a position or a place where you don't really need to trade away the best of the bunch. You don't have to worry about that. So extend Payne, let Ioannidis walk, and trade settle.
I say pay the guys. Hey, man. It's too much money out here not to pay them off. But no, on a serious note, when you take a guy 12 overall in the first round and they meet the criteria why you drafted them, you got to keep them. You can't trade those type of the players. It defeats the purpose of drafting that high and getting a guy of that nature. Ioannidis, he probably has more trade value than Settle. I think Settle is trying to see what's out there on the open market anyway, so you can let him walk. That's probably where I would take it. But ideally, if you can keep the band together and sell them on the opportunity of, hey, if we get this elite quarterback in here, whether that be this season or next season, we're close to doing something special. I think you can still make it happen because, I don't really think that Settle is going to command a lot on the open market unless he really balls out. But I don't really know how much he's going to be in rotation this year with Ioannidis back. Payne, like I said, and like Nick has also mentioned as well, being a top-rated run stopper already. And now, if he completes the whole package and being everything, interior defensive linemen are hard to come by. That's why a lot of those guys go early in the draft. With quarterbacks getting rid of the ball so quickly these days, some of these edge rushers don't even have enough opportunity to get to the quarterback. But if you have those elite guys inside, like the Aaron Donalds, the Chris Jones, and Fletcher Cox, like it's a whole different aspect with your defense. So I think that's what I would do. But ideally, I would try to keep the band together because you need that type of rotation anyways if you're gonna, want to win games in this league on defense. You just look at Tampa Bay and in the past, Seattle and different teams that had like a defensive line. They always had a rotation in place.
Where were you at?
It's easy for me. I would definitely extend Payne. I'm not getting rid of the Alabama guy. I want to keep that core together and that inside. Trade Ioannidis because, like AJ said, I believe he has the best value between him and Tim Settle. And I guess you have to just because this also depends on what Tim Settle wants. I would love to keep Tim Settle in the rotation, but maybe he feels like he can start somewhere else, and he probably can. So I guess I would let him walk for unselfish reasons. But being selfish, I would find a way to try to keep Tim Settle as well, so he can stay in that rotation with the guys.
Hey, look, like Nick said earlier, it's really. I don't think there's a wrong option. I take that back. The only wrong option is trading Payne. I think that's the wrong option in this situation. Now that we got more information, like that's the only wrong option. Outside of that, anything else you choose is just, your prerogative. we'll leave it like that. Okay. All right, man. Hey, this one's another good one because AJ had. I like when AJ's fired up, bro. Like that's what makes the show when AJ's fired up. So we were talking about Deshaun Watson, man. When he had reported to camp, but also in the same breath formally requested a trade through his agent or something like that. But it's Houston that's acknowledging that they're looking for offers, right? So I took a poll, another Twitter poll, and this one, let's see. This one is 4 options. Does Washington needs to go after Watson? And the options was without hesitation, passing because the price is too high, maybe still not sure, or passing because of legal issues. And before I read some of the comments, I'm going to ask you all, what do you think the people said? And then what is your vote on the matter? And it's an open floor, so whoever wants to go first, go for it. If y'all need me to repeat it, I'll repeat it.
I mean, I think the people probably scared, knowing this fan base, they scared of everything. So more than likely, a lot of people probably voted in that way. But I mean, you got an elite quarterback that's young. Deshaun's probably only 25 years old. If you can go get that guy, why don't you? I mean, of course, like, you know about the legal stuff, but people also alienate the guy that he was before these accusations. Like, we don't know if it's factual or not. But prior to that, he's a stand-up guy in the community, everything that you could want out of your quarterback. And like I said, he's 25. He's talented as hell. You put him in this atmosphere with this culture, whatever, like, the sky's the limit. And if you can keep these guys in the fold, and right now you have to strike hot with the fact that you already having to extend guys like Allen, Terry McLaurin is coming up, Payne is coming up, Sweat is coming up. Like, if you're going to keep this nucleus together, you need to win championships. Like, playoffs is cool. Like, last year was cool as a fan, being stuck in the crib because of the pandemic. But I need to see more. Like, I need to be preparing for a parade in February in downtown DC, you know, just as a fan. And the only way you're going to get to that level is if you go and get a quarterback. You know, I'm not really high on the quarterback prospects coming into the draft next year. I'm not high on Ryan Fitzpatrick, as many of you guys know. Why not go get that quarterback? We know that he's going to get traded. Why not the team that's going to make that move be us? Why let someone else make that move? I don't know what player you would give up, but draft picks, you can have that. I'm getting a 25-year-old superstar at quarterback. I'm going to be all right. Point blank.
All right, Nick, let's hear it. Where you at with it?
Yeah, I mean, prior to all the allegations that came out and prior to legal stuff, it was easy decision. I'm sending however many first-round picks you want, and I'm taking them. This fan base has been looking for a quarterback for decades and decades and decades. And when you offer up a trade, like, say, 3 first-round picks and Matt Ioannidis for Deshaun Watson, people are going crazy turning that down. I mean, if you think about it, how many first-round picks have we wasted on quarterbacks? You're always trying to get that one quarterback. If you could tell me right now that I could get a franchise quarterback at the age of 25, 26 with 3 first-round picks, I'm taking it, no questions asked. I'm just running away from that. I mean, it's crazy if you could sort of pull that off, but there's just so much up in the air right now with the allegations, legal stuff like that. I think it's just, I don't know. It's tough to sort of turn that on the fan base and be like, yeah, we're going to go for him, go get him. But I mean, like AJ was saying, this you got to go for it now. Like, this team, you've seen it with all these other teams that have recently won Super Bowls, other than the Patriots, unless you have Tom Brady. But they get that one championship, and then 2 years later it's a rebuild. Like, look at the Eagles right now. You have to strike while you have that core together on rookie deals, and you need to shoot for the stars. I've been pushing for the Watson trade forever before the legal stuff came up. I think I might still pull the trigger. Obviously, I don't know the whole story, so I'd be hesitant about it. But I loved Deshaun Watson before all this stuff. I thought 3 first-round picks was a steal. So yeah, I'm going for him.
Yeah, and even when you factor in the legal stuff, it's like, let's say worst case, you might miss 6 games, and that's no discredit to the women involved and their stories, right? But him missing 6 games and you have him for the rest of his probably career, like, I mean, it's just like we don't know the facts behind it, but this is the perfect opportunity to make a trade happen, because Texas also had to live with the fact that he has that looming over his head. So you can get him at a cheaper rate than you would be able to get him if he didn't have any of this legal stuff going on at all. I just can't see how anyone. I'm hoping that we have fans that are in the chat like disagreeing, but I can't see how anyone would be like, nah, let's play with Ryan Fitzpatrick or Taylor Heineke. Like, let's see if this Kurt Warner story is going to happen when I know for certain that this guy can get the job done. That's why many teams are starting to trade for players that they already know what they can do on the field. You've seen it happen with Jamal Adams. You've seen it happen with DeAndre Hopkins. You've seen it with Stephon Diggs last year. Like, teams are no longer trying to risk their first-round picks to go get unproven guys out of college because you really don't know how they're going to pan out. Nothing is guaranteed. But at least if you've seen this person build up their resume in the league, you have everything that you need at your hands. You got PFF as well that can tell you about Watson.
So,
yeah, I mean, strictly football terms, it's an easy decision. Strictly football terms, it's an easy decision. I'm sending a blank check to Houston. I'll go pick him up from the airport. I'll do whatever you need me to do. Just bring him to Washington.
So, first off, what's going on, Jared and Kev, the subscriber, man. I appreciate y'all checking in. Jared said trade for Watson, no question. Montel agrees literally with that. Trade for Watson, no question. And then obviously, Kev, he said if Watson is cleared, he would trade the house. So I think, I mean, so I would just say it's safe to assume. Obviously, AJ is without hesitation with his, and he said that people were scared. So the assumption is pass and for legal issues. Same thing with you, Nick. I would assume is without hesitation for you, and then obviously you think that people will pass for legal issues. Dre, where are you at? What do you think the people chose, and what are you choosing?
I mean, any fan, if you just talking like you said, strictly football, any fan that says no to a Deshaun Watson trade, any blockbuster trade for him is crazy. Like, you have to, like I said, 25 years old, he's top. Yeah, I think 25. He's a top five quarterback in my opinion in the NFL. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, you talking football, you make that move. But and as a fan, yes, you know, if you could tell me that Deshaun Watson is absolutely cleared, he's innocent of all charges, whatever, I'm like, yeah, go do it, you know. But right now, it's hard to entertain that, especially when you, according to reports today, there's more women that came out today, and then be criminal charges coming against them. You keep in mind too that this organization, of all organizations, they're just getting out of a sexual harassment type of scandal, and then you're talking about entertaining a guy that has sexual harassment lawsuits and all this other stuff against him. So I think as a fan, sure, we would say yes, but realistically, I think there's zero chance they go after him. If he's, I mean, right now as it stands, I think there's zero chance they would go after him.
Okay. All right. So I'll read some of the comments and then obviously give you all the answer. Jarrell, who was a former guest on the show, said, you know, we get Deshaun, we're going to a bowl immediately. I'll be willing to give up most. Okay. All right. Give up most. I don't know where Chase Young or Montez Swift fit in that, but obviously them boys down south need some defense. So all right, give up most. And then we have.
They would definitely ask for one.
Exactly. Cole Killer mentioned that he's young, already established, and a baller. No brainer, but with the likely cost and Ron's quote unquote culture pledge, no way in hell they even consider it. Okay. And then I'm gonna save this one for last because this one had AJ worked up, and I like to see AJ respond to this one. So C. William mentioned, you know, he's too expensive, taking back a high level contract, taking out a high level contract, shipping out draft picks and youth to get a malcontent and off the field issue guy. Nah, they're gonna take a discount for that player, and that's all I'm gonna talk about. And then pass because of price. Ain't nobody willing to give up 3 first-round picks and someone off the team for someone who's already had an ACL surgery. So he's sticking to strictly on the field. He's saying, yes, he's young. Yes, he's great. But no, he's not Patrick Mahomes. This is Farsum, 1989. And here's the guy that you had ran into on Twitter, man. He said, if I think I know Ron's belief system, I don't even think we try and go after Watson as he's a bad character guy. Now, knowing Danny, he could pull a dick move and veto Rivera and go all in like RG3. And if that were to happen, I believe it would be the beginning of the end for Rivera and DC. And that's the last of the comments. The winner of the poll was passing strictly because it was of the legal issues. And they won by 11%.
They just scared. I mean, and people keep talking about Ron's like belief system. Like, is he Mother Teresa? Like, the fuck? Like, this motherfucker, like, he's testing at his players. People think he's Mother Teresa. Like, oh no, his culture. Like, the hell, like, I don't know. That's why I get irritated with the fan base, because I'm like, you're too scared. Do you have a better answer? Like, who? Like, really? Like, who is the answer? Who coming? If you really expect this team to do good, they're never going to be in the position to get a top-tier quarterback in the draft. So if you're really expecting this team to succeed and you have high expectations, they're not going to be picking top 10, top 5. They're going to be in the top 20. I mean, they're going to be in the 20 to 30 if you expect them to really do good. So you'll never have a chance to really get an elite quarterback. You could probably hope to get somebody second, third round and it stick, but that's not likely. The likelihood of getting a Russell Wilson is slim to none. Like, that's not something that typically plays out that way. So it's like, if you're going to tell me you're going to pass on him, okay, even with the legal situation, what is the answer? Because I know Ryan Fitzpatrick is not the answer. I think we're just expecting the ball to be pushed downfield more, but I'm also expecting a lot of pick sixes and a lot of bad quarterback play. Like, I mean, training camp starts tomorrow. So once y'all start reading them little headlines from John Kahn, JT Finley, that he done threw these picks, oh yeah, y'all gonna change y'all. You're gonna have to, hey, Jamal, you're gonna have to run that poll back.
But so I got a counter. I wanted to counter on that. But see, AJ, I think it's more of we got to look at it more as a marathon and not a sprint right now. I mean, we are in year 2 of this regime. We're 2 years removed from a 3-13 roster, and I think, a lot of fans want things to kind of be accelerated a bit because they did go to the playoffs. They stumbled into the playoffs in a bad division, and now fans are kind of looking like, okay, now we need to be a Super Bowl roster right now. When in a sense, like from day one, it's kind of been a thing where we need to gradually get better. And that's where I am as a fan. Like, I believe, it's more than one way to skin a cat, and especially when it comes to acquiring a quarterback. We couldn't do it this year. We tried, but, Matt Stafford, he wanted to go to LA, whatever.
He chose.
But there's always going to be QBs available every year. Like, every year, there's going to be a slew of quarterbacks that want out of their situation, or it's going to be. Matter of fact, I tell people this all the time. Like, people talk about the college draft class. Oh, the quarterbacks aren't this, or they aren't that. Right now, that he's probably looked at as a 4th, 5th round guy right now. He's probably going to shoot up the chart somewhere. He's going to end up being a 1st round pick that someone covets. I mean, I look at Zach Wilson as a case last year. Like, Zach Wilson was a guy no one talked about in the 1st round last year. Like, he wasn't on no one's quarterback radar. And then he comes in and he's the number 2 pick this year in the NFL draft. So that's why I say every year, I think you're going to have your opportunity to acquire your guy, because it's going to come either via aggressive in the draft, or it's going to be aggressive with a trade for. So I'm not looking at this year as, we should have been a Super Bowl contender, but we got Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'm looking at it more as just gradually get better, keep building a winning culture, and then until you shoot again next year for your quarterback. And I think they will try to shoot for one. I don't know who it will be. I don't know if it's, a guy that's on the radar right now.
But here's the thing, Jay. You can always draft a guy, but can you get the guy? That's the key thing. And time is not on your hand. I mean, by you missing out on Dwayne Haskins a couple of years ago in the draft, that should really set your franchise back 5 years, right? But now you still have the opportunity, due to the fact that your defense is in play. You played so poorly that you picked number 2 overall. You were able to get Chase Young last year in the draft to pair him on with Montez Sweat and your D tackles. You have to go get this quarterback. Like, I don't know of 2 bigger names than Deshaun Watson or Aaron Rodgers that have been kind of like open and available on the open market in recent years. Like, just going and getting a guy is not going to work with the team. You need to go get the guy. Like, I don't really, in my time of being alive and being a Washington fan, the closest thing to an elite quarterback that I've ever seen was RG3 rookie year.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's been bums. Like straight bums.
Colt
Like,
McCoy.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing musical
John
chairs
Beck.
as quarterback.
John Beck.
Yeah,
Damn.
you had to play with Mark Sanchez and Josh Johnson a couple years ago. If you can go get a quarterback that's 25 years old that can play up to the age of 40, regardless of the fact he had ACL, I mean, it's not as bad as it once was back in the day.
Yeah.
You have to go make a play for that guy because your window of opportunity is closing. It makes no sense to sign these guys that we're talking about, the Youngs, the Sweats, the Paynes, the Terrys, if we don't have a quarterback at play. Like, you'll never even be able to know Terry's true potential if you don't have an elite quarterback, because he's been playing with a whole bunch of guys just pulling up by the playground and just say, "Hey man, y'all need a quarterback." That's pretty much what he's been playing with.
So to your point with Watson, I just have to ask this one thing, and obviously, Nick, this goes unstated. I do appreciate your time and the time that you gave us tonight. This is probably the last subject. Still sticking on the quarterbacks here, but the last subject. AJ, you brought up earlier today, either or. So if you got Watson or you have Rodgers in the offseason, if you had to make your choice or who you felt you had the best chance at getting, would it be that trade for Watson, or would it be going for Rodgers in the offseason? Fellas, and I'll kick it to you. You all on this one. Me personally, I would gun for Rodgers. I don't think you need to, this year, I'll be quick with mine, but this year, man, there's no need to trade this late in the game for Watson. Now, I understand the type of player he is, and I agree with you all without hesitation. We're talking about on the field things. I don't have a problem if they acquired Watson. I don't have a problem. If we're talking about my preference, I'm not giving up that much for the guy. Not right now. I can't do it, but I would take my chances with Rodgers. Just in the offseason, man. But I will kick this again to you all. Where are you at? Would you have if you had the better chance of getting one or the other, would you trade for Watson or would you go for Rodgers in the offseason? Nick, what you thinking about this one?
I'm going Rodgers. I think he's just going to be easier to get. I mean, he's literally said that this is his last year with Green Bay. He's put up the last dance pictures, all that sort of stuff. He knows he's getting out next year. And, I'm kind of in between AJ and Dre with this because Washington's been in quarterback purgatory for decades. They've always had maybe some guy that's decent enough get him to the playoffs, like a Kirk Cousins, like a Ryan Fitzpatrick. And they've also had just terrible quarterbacks. And so you do need to strike while you have this team in place.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to go all out this year, but I do think you need to strike within the next year or two while you have these guys on this contract, because you can't pay them all. You can pay as much as you want, but then you can't afford a quarterback, and the quarterback is the most important thing. So if it was up to me, I'm going all in on Rodgers next year. If the Watson stuff gets cleared up off the field, I'm going all in on both of them. See which one you can get. I just think it'll be easier to get Rodgers.
Okay. Jared, while we're waiting, Jared mentioned that if we can't get, he said the same thing. That's crazy. He said if we can't get Watson, I go all in on Rodgers in the offseason. He can have a Brady-like impact. Well, that's actually a really good comment. Because some teams are really just a quarterback away, as you shown with Tampa last year, Jared. So I don't disagree with that. I don't, especially if you get a mobile guy like Watson, he can make some plays happen for the team. So, we'll see. Dre, AJ, if you had the option, which one are you gunning for?
For me, I would go for if Watson. I think we'll have a little bit more clarity on this situation by next year. But I think if he is fully cleared to go, I would probably just go for Watson because he is the younger one. But like Nick said, I'm shooting my shot at every top quarterback available. Anybody, Russell Wilson, maybe he wants out of his situation next year. He's another guy I'm gunning for. it's what is it? And like I said, even in the draft, if it's a couple of rises in the draft that looks promising, I mean, right now I think Sam Howell's the best prospect of the quarterbacks in the draft. You probably won't have a chance at him because he's going number 1. But if there's somebody that could sneak into the top 5 that looks promising, I'm going shooting my shot at that. But the point is, I'm shooting my shot at any top QB until I get one. Right now, as it stands, it just. Nothing is clear. Like Aaron Rodgers is not on the table right now. Green Bay has made it clear he's going to play this year. Deshaun Watson's situation is still murky. So there's really nothing else you can do this offseason right now. But next year, yeah, I'm shooting until I get something.
Okay. AJ, what about you?
Yeah, I think for me, if we're just going to compare Watson between Rodgers, I think trading for a guy, you have a higher chance of getting them than waiting for a guy like Aaron Rodgers to hit the open market. I mean, I really don't know what teams he would be interested in. I don't really know what teams would be interested in him. But at least if you can trade for a guy, you have a higher chance of getting them than being put in a free agency market, like an open market for a guy such as Aaron Rodgers, where now he's currently the league MVP. He might win it again, with the offensive system he's in. But I just feel like if the LA Rams traded for Matt Stafford 2 first-round picks, who are we to argue that Watson isn't worth 3 first-round picks? I just feel like if I had the opportunity to get him now, and even if you even look at it from a scheme standpoint, with Scott Turner, Watson fits perfectly with what they want to do in their offense. Like from the bootleg to the jet sweeps, the fear of that quarterback being able to run, 25 years old. Aaron Rodgers, I love him. I think he's probably the best quarterback ever, right? But I also don't think I want to go necessarily and bet on my season and try to get a guy that's going to be, 39 next year and kind of like unsettle with how long do we even know he's going to play for? Like, if
all
you
I need
can't
is
get
4
Watson,
years,
of
bro.
course, then
Give me 4 years, give me 2 Super Bowl appearances or 2 conference title appearances. I'll be thankful.
Yeah.
I ain't seen that shit since I was live. I need that.
Yeah, I feel like you can't lose, but if it was my call, I would trade the picks and get Watson right now. Because, I mean, you literally have the team geared to go play for the Super Bowl. You just have a bum-ass quarterback right now. And you got a coach that's saying that it's a competition, but we all know, like, when you pay a guy $10 million, there's no competition. Like, let's keep it a buck. When they offered Ryan Fitzpatrick that contract, they definitely told him he was going to be the starter. Now, he can't even be upset if someone like Deshaun Watson comes into play.
He
like,
can't.
He's better than
you. Got to chalk it up to the
He's
game.
dealt with
bro.
that his whole career.
Yeah.
So I think, AJ, man, I don't disagree with you, and this is the point. But the thing is, like, I feel like from a team perspective, bro. Now we all know teams do their research before they even reach out. Like they know like a little bit more than what we know from the outsider or the public perspective. They've done digging. They talk to people. They have a little bit more insight, or they should. Sometimes people don't know. Sometimes teams don't know. They don't do their research like they think they did. But majority of the times, I kind of lean on that they do. They do their research. And with that being said, I feel like it would be irresponsible, bro, to just fucking go for Watson and anything is unsettled. Like, if we wait for the fact that we wait for clarity from anything, I think the moment will be gone. Like, I don't think anything's gonna be cleared up anytime soon. I think we're talking like after the trade deadline. Like, if I had to guess, I think it's gonna be after the trade deadline for whatever gets settled from all cases, whether it's the civil or the criminal. Like, I think it's all gonna be done, not in the near future, but in a few weeks. And that's the unfortunate side of this, is like, you do have to calculate when it, or you have to project like when it can possibly be done. And this is me not knowing. I'm gonna say it's an ignorant comment because I don't know for sure, but I think there's no way that it gets done within a couple of weeks. This may take some time, and by the time things get settled, we're talking like it's going to be too late to try and trade for him without knowing things in concrete. Yep.
the court stuff is not even supposed to happen until like probably summertime of next year. So I mean, it's just one of those things. It's kind of like Tampa took a chance on Antonio Brown, right? Signed him to play, and then it got cleared up.
Oh yeah,
a couple months ago, right? It's one of those things none of us really know, right? And of course, like they have a background of that, but those type of things can happen. You just don't even know. Like, I mean, look at the LA Dodgers. They signed Trevor Bauer, right? This top prospect, all this, and now he's in a whole allegation of, sexual assault. You just never know how it's going to play out. I mean, it probably, we all know the media will go hard at Washington for doing the move, but from a on the field standpoint, it makes every damn sense to take that risk. Because I mean, worst case, once again, not to downgrade the situation with the women, probably miss 6 games, but you have your quarterback for 5+ years and so on.
Only miss 6 games. Yeah. Now we're only, again, like you said, it's not about we obviously respect the alleged victims in the situation. We're only talking about on the field. So we're not disregarding anything like that from the people who are actually filing things against Deshaun. So this is only strictly on the field. So I get it, man. I do have my doubts. While I agree with you, I just have my doubts, man. I don't know if it's worth it, but you did make a good counterpoint. And it's also like the Michael Kendricks. I think it was Michael Kendricks with his legal situation when he came to Washington. And there was no, he was still basically under investigation or waiting sentencing, something like that. And they still signed him off a practice squad. So I get it. I get it, man. All right.
Nah, Mother Teresa don't like bad character guys, remember?
Oh yeah, that's the word if we let Twitter tell it. That's the word. But listen, man, before we go, does anybody else have anything to say on the Watson or even the players, Logan Thomas or Jonathan Allen, anything like that?
I just think you gotta strike while the iron's hot. I mean, I think this is one of the best rosters that they've had in place since I can remember. And you just got to go for the quarterback. You got to do what you got to do to get him, and then if you get him, then the sky's the limit. But you just got to get a quarterback.
Yeah. All right, Nick, man, it's been a pleasure. I'm glad, like, when I reached out to you, you didn't hesitate, man. You was definitely welcome, and you took us up on the opportunity. I appreciate you giving us that opportunity to chop it up with you. And definitely do hope you enjoyed yourself. And before we go, let the people know where they can find you, what you got going on, and all that good stuff, boss man.
Yeah, it's just Twitter for me, at PFF _ Nick Akridge. Nick Akridge, all one word. I'll just be on Twitter. I'll start posting more content and stuff like that. I had a busy summer, but content will start being posted once the season starts. You'll see a ton of film breakdown, all that sort of stuff. But Twitter's where you can find me. That's all you need, basically.
Absolutely. All right, fellas. Quick and easy, man. 2 topics. So next week, though, we will be in full-fledged training camp mode. I guess I'll make the announcement on Twitter. I don't know, but we are up in the schedule. There's some things going on with Twitch that we're starting to get recognized from. So I'll break that down in a little bit more detail. We are up increasing the schedule and the content stuff. I'll be back tomorrow for the All 32 side, previewing the AFC South with with the Titans and Colts quarters. So tune in for that. That'll be a good one for sure. Until next time, y'all. Appreciate everybody watching live. Appreciate everybody who's listening. All that good stuff. Like, subscribe. If you rate all that stuff, don't give us a 1 star. If you do, I'll find you. All that good stuff. You know the vibes. All right. Till next time. Peace.